Morgan Freeman deals with race baiting the same way I deal with salad at a cookout. He just strolls past it without giving it a second look.
I'm talking about the slave mentality. I'm talking about the person who feels that his only way of survival is to go along.
Morgan Freeman dumped that victimhood starter pack ages ago. He's been side-eyeing the identity politics crew ever since. And that time he roasted Don Lemon? That interview went so viral, it probably has merch by now.
Not everybody can do that.
Well, everybody can.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into some of Morgan Freeman's most iconic commentary. Grab your popcorn and watch this clip before we unpack it, because you'll definitely want to pause, rewind, and send it to the group chat with a, "You guys seeing this?"
Do you think poverty is part of genetics? Answering your questions.
No, you can't say that. I don't think wealth, personally, I don't think wealth and genetics have anything to do with each other, actually. If you're born in the U.S., it really doesn't matter the condition of your birth. Mm-hmm. What matters is what you inherit from your nurturing, from your environment, whether or not you're going, I'm just from the standpoint of having been born with little. You can always get out of that.
And of course, leave it to Don Lemon to roll out the galaxy brain take of trying to link poverty to genetics. Yes, genetics. You seriously can't make this stuff up, unless you're writing parody sketches. Right there, you've got a perfect contrast. Lemon's over here suggesting poverty is all about forces totally outside your control. Meanwhile, Morgan Freeman's over on the other side, calmly sipping his wisdom tea and reminding us that mindset, personal responsibility, and how you approach life can be total game changers. Now sure, you could argue that sounds a bit dismissive of the real struggles people go through. And fair enough, life throws curveballs. But let's not act like hardship is some exclusive, limited edition collector's item. Everyone gets hit with rough patches. The real difference? One path has you shouting, "The system is rigged," as your life motto. The other has you buckling down, owning your situation, and doing what you can to move forward. One path is basically submitting your L before the game even starts. The other gives you at least a fighting chance to win. And no, I'm not auditioning for a TED Talk. These are just straight-up facts, minus the sugarcoating. Naturally, Don wasn't a fan. So he followed up with a gotcha question, only to end up circling right back and echoing Morgan's exact point. In that moment, he kind of argued against himself. Absolute comedy gold.
But environment effects.
Yeah. Say you're born as one of the untouchables in India, there you are. And if you're born into the super rich, there you are. Here, you can be born to the super rich, but 3-4 generations down the line, it's gone.
This right here is why people say listening is a skill, and clearly, not everyone got the memo. Morgan nailed it. The identity politics crowd has this uncanny ability to convince themselves they're victims of literally everything, like it's a full-time job with benefits. Meanwhile, they're completely forgetting they live in the land of opportunity. Sure, America isn't perfect. No place is. But let's be real, people around the world risk life, limb, and sanity just to get here. Why? Because, for all the noise about inequality, the US still offers more chances to climb the ladder than almost anywhere else. Now here's the kicker, stats that almost never get airtime. According to the American Enterprise Institute, 70% of Americans will spend at least 1 year in the top 20% of earners, and over half will spend at least a year in the top 10%. Translation? The odds of touching real money at some point in your life are way higher than most people think. Keep that little stat nugget in your back pocket. Because Don's next question? Once you hear it, you'll laugh so hard you'll wonder if he meant it as a joke.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
Today?
or cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
You know, I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it. I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
It's not like it exists and we refuse to talk about it, but making it a bigger issue than it needs to be is probably.
You just know Don was putting on a full Broadway show here, because let's be honest, if he ever stopped talking about race, his whole career would vanish faster than my paycheck on payday. His brand is basically built on squeezing every issue through the race filter, whether it makes sense or sounds like a Mad Lib. And you don't even need a history book to see the pattern. Just a few days ago, he was in full meltdown over 59 South Africans getting refugee status, just because they're white. That's the kind of headline you read twice to make sure the onion didn't sneak onto your feed. But here's where it gets good. In an earlier interview, Morgan Freeman went even deeper on racism, and his take? Pure, uncut perfection. The kind of wisdom that makes you want to stand up, clap, and shout preach at your screen.
One side of my family of slaves. I decided that you can't be a slave unless you are party to it. You got to agree to that. Yep.
Are you talking about the slave mentality? Or?
I'm talking about the slave mentality. I'm talking about the person who feels that his only way of survival is to go along. The motto in Massachusetts, you know what it is? Massachusetts, live free or die. To live, and don't choose to live free, but I'm a party to it. So that's a reconciliation for me. All right? Hey, nobody can belittle you without your consent.
Quick heads up before the internet fact-checkers storm in, live free or die is New Hampshire's motto, not Massachusetts's. But hey, that doesn't take away from the point, so don't sharpen those geography pitchforks just yet. The bigger message still hits hard. No one's saying racism doesn't exist or that history should be ignored. Of course, it should be acknowledged. But does it need to be the headline of every conversation in modern America? Absolutely not. Here's the thing, real progress has been made, and you can see it everywhere if you take off those doom and gloom goggles. The real problem? A whole cottage industry of professional race baiters who keep milking the narrative for all it's worth. Why? Because division drives ratings. Ratings fuel emotion. And emotion means cashing big checks while society stays stuck in reruns. Speaking of reruns, to wrap this up, let's revisit Morgan Freeman's legendary 60 Minutes interview, where he explained why he hates being labeled a black actor. Spoiler alert, his answer is so good, it deserves to be printed on t-shirts.
And then you also did an interview with Mike Wallace, in which he said to you, why don't you like Black History Month?
Right.
And what your answer was?
I asked him, was there a white history month?
Yeah.
And he says, I'm Jewish. I said, okay. Is there a Jewish history month? He said, no. I said, do you want one? He said, no. So, well, there's my answer. Why would Black history be relegated to a month? Why isn't Black history just American history?
Well, how do you feel about it right now today?
I don't feel any different than I always felt. I don't want to be, I just don't like to be singled out like that, you know? He's one of America's finest black actors that narrows you, you know? So it just puts you in a box over here. You can't be part of the whole panel.
Honestly, I think Morgan Freeman is a national treasure. I mean, the guy literally played God in movies. How do you even top that? Now, I don't always agree with him on politics, but when it comes to race, I genuinely respect his perspective. And let's be real, that perspective hits differently when it comes from someone who actually lived through the Jim Crow era, not someone regurgitating secondhand theories from a college textbook. So when a man with that kind of lived experience says we need to stop making everything about race, I'd say that's definitely worth paying attention to. But what about you? Do you agree with Freeman's approach, or do you think the conversation still needs to stay front and center? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments and let's get this rolling. And hey, if you've got friends who need to hear a take that isn't spoon-fed by the usual media machine, share this video with them. It helps more than you know. Thanks for watching. And who knows, maybe next time we'll even get Morgan himself to narrate. Wouldn't that be something?